in this video is that when it comes to older or athletically compromised jiu-jitsu players, some of the very best submissions are those that don't require you to give up a pin position. Okay, many of the great submissions of the sport, if you're in a pin, in order to go to the submission hold, you got to forsake the pin and make a switch. If you're mounted on someone, you want to get a mounted triangle or a mounted armbar, you have to leave the mounted position in order to enter into the submission hold. People who lack athleticism, flexibility, mobility, or what have you, often have a difficult time with this. They feel they're secure in the pin, but when it's time to make the big adjustment to the submission hold, all kinds of openings develop. They go for the submission hold, it fails because too many openings were created, and they feel like, man, every time I go for a submission hold, I get punished. I was in a good position, then I lost it, and this guy ended up on top of me. And so many athletically compromised people feel much more comfortable going for submission holds that don't involve losing that pin position. One of the great examples of this is Katagatame. It can be done from numerous top positions. It offers a very, very powerful strangle that works at the highest levels. It works all the time in international competition. And should it fail, you're still on top of the guy. It doesn't cost you a nickel. So with this in mind, let's have a look at Katagatame. Just looking first at just the mechanics of it. The single most important thing you got to understand about Katagatame is that both of you are involved in the strangle. Your arm is going to close off his far side carotid artery, and his shoulder is going to close off the near side. Okay, so you have to use his body to enact the stranglehold. That's the big insight. Now, the only way you're going to do this is by getting your arm into a certain kind of position, which involves maximal reach of your arm around your training partner's neck. If I go shallow here, just move your arm. If I go shallow, straighten your arm. If I go shallow, you can see space between my bicep and his neck. The stranglehold is never going to work. So our whole thing is to get our arm flush around so there is close contact of bicep to neck, just like so. Second big thing, if my head is too high, I will never be able to put sufficient pressure into my opponent's shoulder to create an efficient stranglehold. So what we want to do is to create situations where our head comes down to our hands. Only this enables me to use the pressure required to put so much inward pressure on his shoulder that becomes an efficient part of the strangulation. So my right bicep strangles his left carotid artery, and his right shoulder strangles his right carotid artery. Even with just one hand, if I get my head position right and go inwards, we can get our strangulation in place. Please understand that mechanically, I want to take the shoulder of my strangle hand towards my wrist to strangle. Don't try to lift your wrist up to your shoulder. Bring your shoulder downwards. That's why the best Katagatame always involve head position. If my head is up, very difficult to strangle. We want our head coming down to our hands. Okay? So the two big things we want are to get as far as possible around our training partner's neck with our elbow. The best of all is when your elbow is right behind the base of the spine at the base of the neck, right there at the spine. So ideally, we want all the way around, like so. Then, once we lock, we want our head coming down. If I'm up here by his elbow, very hard to strangle. So we want everything coming down. And now, even just without my hands locked, you can see that when I bring my right shoulder down to my hand and I corkscrew inwards, just that action creates a strong strangle. If Placido locks his hands together and goes to resist the strangle by pushing his elbow out in this direction, let's go Placido, such is the mechanics of the strangle that if I use head position, I will still be able to defeat that early defense and get a good strangulation going. Okay? So what I want you to do when you're learning the strangle is to start with the following drill. You're going to start sitting next to your training partner, and you're going to go lifting his head and getting your elbow to touch the back of his neck. by physically pulling your hand around. Then you'll go to thumb post and get the side of your neck on his elbow. Then you're going to put this hand on the mat and you're going to come up to your knees. You're going to take your head and touch your own fingers. Then you're going to put your hand flat down on the mat and just with one hand on two knees, Placido, lock your hands together. Do your best to resist the strangle. You're going to do this. You're going to take your right shoulder, it's going strong, Placido. You're going to take your right shoulder inwards. And your head will go in towards your hands. And you will see that you will get a good strangulation. Look how my head, the further it goes away from Placido's head, the more he can survive. So what we want to do is take our head in an arc. I go forward and around the corner. His shoulder is a curve in the road. Initially, forward and around. He locks his hands defensively. I go past, forward, and then I go around. My apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
And in this way, you can see with the one-handed strangle, if you can get those mechanics down with one hand, you're going to have a formidable Katagatame. It will be a very, very strong lock. Now, that's a drill. Of course, we don't strangle people that way. That's designed to teach you the correct mechanics with one arm. Now, let's look at what we're supposed to be doing with two hands. Okay, we've seen already, it starts with a lift. Then we get outside his elbow. Then we come up to a kneeling position. Now we're going to lock our hands. We're going to cinch everything in and we're going to take our elbow like so. This is good for the purposes of strangulation, but it has a problem. I now have no base. So we're going to learn to strangle with our elbow out to widen our base. This is good mechanically, but it's bad tactically. So we're going to give up a little bit of strangulation pressure to make our body have a good wide base so we can't be knocked over. The way we're going to make up for this deficiency in mechanics is what we talked about earlier, head position. Make a strong resistant body, Placido. We're going to put our arm out and then we're going to bring our head forward and then turn the corner of his shoulder. You've got to think about a curve going around his shoulder. My head goes forward and then around towards the ear. So head goes forward around the curve of his shoulder. So we lock everything up. We get our elbows out for base. And then even as he goes in to resist, look how my head goes around the corner and we get our strangulation. Okay? Those are some of the key mechanical elements of the upper body. Now let's talk about the key mechanical elements of the lower body. We're going to have to change our angle to do this. Okay, what we don't want to do is this kind of thing. If you see people sitting up into Katagatame, that's no good. We need to be on our knees. When we do this, we're going to take elbow out wide and we're going to start the action of blocking our training partner's hip with our knee. What I don't want is to turn the corner with my upper body and Placido to walk with me. And then we can't strangle. So what we want to do here is block our training partner's hip with our knee and then walk our body out like so into a sprawl. From this position, my head goes forward and around the corner and we get our strangulation. So you see there's a sprawling action, but a blocking action with our legs, okay? And this way, we get a very, very tight Katagatame, okay? Now, Placido's going to do it on me.
You know, I won't let go.
It's probably well deserved after all these years from this situation. Look how he needs to get that arm as deep around as possible. The further the elbow goes away and he tries to lock his hands, there's space in here. Okay, it's that space which enables me to get my arm down his body and start turning away and getting the hand in. So his whole thing is to get that elbow far behind. Now he takes his head down towards his own hand. Now, do the one-handed strangle. You can hear my voice change as the strangle comes on. Right now, I'm relatively comfortable. As he starts to apply the strangle, you'll hear my voice change. That signifies strangulation. When you hear my vocal cords being compressed, that's a clear sign that I'm strangling. Okay. Now let's change the angle so you can see Placido's hands. Okay, so he comes around the corner and locks it up. As his head comes down, Placido's going to treat my shoulder like a curve in the road. He's going to drive towards the corner and then go around the corner. And you'll hear my voice changing as the lights go off. Okay, so those are the key elements of the lower body. Now watch Placido's, of the upper body. Now let's look at the upper body. As Placido comes in, look how his right knee is going to block my hip. And then the left leg is going to sprawl. And as a result, he goes into a very, very powerful strangle. And as a result, it's over. Okay? So there you have it. Classic mechanics of Katagatame. The last thing we're going to do now is to show you a trick to give you the most important thing, which is complete circumventing of your opponent's neck with your elbow. How are we going to get there? Okay. Once we get into a position like this and we start elevating, we use a pumping method to pump the arm and ensure that my hand comes all the way up. Okay, if I just come in here and lock my hands, it's going to be shallow. So what we want to do is start lifting and we pump until the hand comes up all the way. I recommend grabbing the shoulder just like so. Then from here, we lock and my hand lifts. Don't just have your hand down. Plus it will tell you, it doesn't look very different from here, but when we lift, everything comes up. Difference. Okay, so first, 1, 2, 3, pumping. Then lift. Block the hip, adjust the head, go around the corner of the shoulder, and that's a true Katagatame. Now, we've learned how to actually perform the Katagatame from top position. Now you've got to learn how to actually get there against the resisting opponent. The number one setup for Katagatame, in my opinion, is the ratchet. This is the use of an underhook on our training partner's arm to slowly walk his arm from a position where it should be, close to his sides, to a position where it shouldn't be, up and over his shoulder line, up by his head like so. Now, everyone knows this is a bad position in grappling, okay? So how are you going to get a strong man's arm to go from here to here when he doesn't want his arm to go in that direction? Well, that's where the ratchet comes in. This is a simple method of walking our opponent's arm up and over his head into a situation where Katagatame becomes a real possibility. Now, there are 3 situations where I want you guys to be expert in the use of the ratchet. These are the mounted position, side positions, and half guard top position. What I suggest to you is master the mounted variation first. It's the most important one, and if you master that one first, you will always be able to do it easily in the other 2 cases. Okay, so we're going to start mounted, and we're going to show how to use the ratchet. In your training, when you watch this video and practice it with your friends, start with the mounted position. Work on that and master it in the mount first. When you feel, hey, I can get this on my base, no problem, from mounted position, then start incorporating it as we'll show you later on in this section of the video, how to use it from side and half guard as well. Now, we are mounted on an opponent. First things first, we want to be able to take his elbow from a good position by his ribs to a terrible position up here by his ears. Okay, how are we going to do this? First, we're going to need some kind of underhook. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by getting a hand all the way up at the end of the lever down here by his hand. Okay, you could use an overhand grip, but what I'm going to recommend to you, use an underhand grip. Much less likely to slip. You can double up on it, but what I typically do is I just place a hand on my training partner's elbow. I bring my head forward so that my own hand is close to my body. If I just push from here, it's my hand versus his. I want to incorporate everything in here, and I start taking the hand out to the side. As I take the hand over his shoulder, we just double up on it and just push the hand down to the mat with 2 hands just like so. I don't care if he extends his arm. A lot of people will because they're worried about the American lock that we look at elsewhere in this series. But typically, I think the only thing I don't want is his elbow coming back towards my knee. Okay, so we just put some weight over our hands, and it's going to be hard for him to do this. Now we take our arm around the corner, and we just place everything through into a position like so that my elbow is inside and underneath his elbow. So once again, Placido's arms are in a good defensive position. We start off getting a good grip all the way up there at the end of the lever. Don't grab down here. You're short on the lever. It's going to be hard to move this guy. Come all the way up to the end. Now, as I push in on this one here, look how I just use my body weight to take everything over. As we take the hand down to the mat, we're in the perfect position to get our arm underneath his arm. Once I've got the elbow, then I come back for the head. From this position, I don't want him bringing my elbow in. He can bridge and roll and take me over. That's not good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and cross our ankles. Don't worry, I'll show you another angle soon. We cross our ankles underneath, and then from this position, I move my head away from him so I can start getting my elbow off the mat. I start by walking my hand away. It's hard to make strong arm. It's hard to walk my arm up against resistance, but it's easy to walk my arm away. Okay? Now, from here, I start the action of testing his strength. Walking. What I do is I steal a little bit of real estate and then I straighten my arm. As my arm straightens, my whole head is involved. And then I steal a little bit of real estate. I stiffen the arm out, I steal a little bit of real estate. If he brings my arm back of it, it's going to be hard. Yeah. He's working against the friction on the mat. If my hand here, there's no friction, now when he pulls in, that's when he can move my arm. So I put my whole hand flat to maximize friction with the mat. If the mat is slippery, I put a little weight on my hand to increase the friction. He goes to bring my arm in, I can't. Very difficult. If my head moves away and there's no friction, that's when my arm moves. Okay? So first, we've got to get elbow to elbow. So goal number one is to get elbow to elbow. It's an exhausting drill.
Yeah. The lat burns out.
It's crazy. So first things first, we've got to get our elbow to elbow position. He's strong. We come in, we get the underhand grip. And then from here, we come down to the floor. We take everything this way. Don't try to go forwards, go to the side. And as we come up, boom, we bring everything down to the mat. From here, I bring my arm underneath his, and we're elbow to elbow. If he goes to try and bridge me over, I'll just put my head down on the floor and cross my ankles. And I'm not afraid to hold just this position for a while. I do this all the time. Okay? He goes to move me around. It's a good pin just by itself. Okay? Plus, I will tell you, it's a freaking nightmare to get out of this pin. He tries to elbow escape.
It's tough. He's glued.
Tries to bridge and roll. It's a nasty pin just by itself. Now it's time to go beyond pinning, start submitting people. So we come through and lock up. Now our first thing is to get our damn elbow off the floor, because if he sucks my elbow in, that's when he can bridge me over. Okay? So first things first, elbow off the mat. I do that by moving my head away. Now he tries to suck my elbow down. I'm going to walk my hand further out. I don't want my hand in close. That's when he feels strong. I want to walk everything up this way. Okay? Now that we've done that, I want to start going north. As he sucks in on that arm, we're going to start the action of bringing our head this way and stealing a little bit of real estate. I come back down. He tries to pommel his arm in. I won't let it happen. If my head's up here somewhere, that's when they can pommel their arm in. So if I see him trying to pommel his arm in, I ride it out. Then I take a little more real estate. I come up, I take a little more real estate. Here on his bicep, he tries to pommel in. I take a little more real estate. Okay? Now, what's my goal here? I'll tell you exactly what our goal is. Pass it in. Take a position here, feet facing me. Remember your first day in jiu-jitsu, you got taught how to pass a guard. Lie down, mate. First day in jiu-jitsu, you got taught how to pass a guard. You were taught that you go underneath your training partner's two legs like so, and then you take his leg and you put it under your shoulder. And as a result, from here, you can start that action of stacking your training partner. You were taught to take your hand up to your training partner's shoulder and stack, 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 and then from here, come up the head and into your pin. Okay? Why were you taught this? You were taught this for a very good reason. If you have your opponent's legs on your biceps, he feels like he weighs 1,000 pounds and you'll never pass his guard. But you were taught on that first day that if you can get his leg up to your shoulder, now you can push with the strength of your legs. Okay, and as a result, you can start stacking this guy and walking up and walking up and walking up. And you're taking him through and into a good pin. Okay, well, take that same lesson that you learned all that time ago and apply it to his arm. What we are trying to do is go from a situation where his arm is elbow to elbow, where Placido feels very strong, okay? And we're going to try and convert this to his arm being on our shoulder, just like stacking him from guard. Placido, I've got to bring my arm back. Once my shoulder's in here, he'll never do it. Try to bring your elbow to your hip. No, just bring your elbow to your hip. He'll never do it. Here, lock. Yep. You can bring your elbow to your hip. So the whole game is to convert Placido's arm from my bicep, where he feels strong, to a situation where I bring it up sufficiently far that I can flick his bicep to my shoulder. Once I get it on my shoulder, it's game over. He tries to bring his elbow down now. He'll never do it in a billion years. Here, yep, if he's stronger than me, he can do it. Okay? So, step number 1. Take the end of the lever, bring his chest close to you, and take his hand in a direction where he's weak, to the side. And as a result, we can get underneath his elbow. If he starts going crazy in this position, don't be afraid to tie up your initial pin, just like so. I just cross my ankles, and I hug his arm, and I just pin in a diagonal line across his body. So when he tries to freak out again, it's tough. Now we come in and collect the head. We lift and get our hand to his lat muscle. He tries to suck my elbow in. I take my elbow off the floor. From this position, I walk my hand out wide. I bring my arm up. If I see him trying to swim underneath my arm, I put everything down. Elbow, head, everything. Then I come back up and I start walking strong. I start walking, stealing a little bit of real estate until we get to a critical position where I can flick and get my shoulder underneath his bicep. The second it's under his biceps on my shoulder, it's done. I can easily walk everything through, lift, and grab my own elbow. Let's change the angle. Okay, once it's on my shoulder, I bring everything up. I just lift, and I grip my own elbow. Now, if Placido tries to prevent me from getting control of his arm, look how I just bring my whole body weight forward, and I just drive my shoulder in. And now the arm is in front, caught in a position where we can work. Okay? Let's come back down the mat, buddy. Okay. We're here. Step number 1. Grip, underhand, end of the lever. Bring everything out and over to the side. Go underneath like so. From here, if necessary, sometimes your opponent goes to freak out, just pin him. When you feel the time is right, catch the head with a cross face. Take your elbow off the mat. If I see him trying to pommel his arm underneath, I bring my elbow and head to the floor. In time, I see an opportunity. I walk my arm out. I straighten my arm. I repeat the process as many times as it takes until I feel his elbow is up above his shoulder line. When I feel my opponent, strong resistant arm, is in a position where I can flick and get it up above my shoulder, that's when we're looking good. Once it's above the shoulder, he'll never bring that arm back down. Now from here, I lift and feed my elbow to my own hand. He can put his hand on my back. He can grab me around the head. The other hand, your left hand, around my head. No, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah. Now from here, it's easy just to shrug it and straight off. Okay. He's never going to be able to stop that shrug. Now we put our chin over and around. We thumb post, and now we're starting to get very close to Katagatame. Okay. So one more time. Opponent's in a strong bottom position and mount.
I can give you more resistance on this side.
Okay, no problem. From here, we lock up and we take everything over towards the side. That enables us to get underneath our training partner's arm. Now we come around the corner and we're in a good position to start working. We cross our ankles so we're strong and tight on this guy. Take your time, guys. Remember what we said earlier in this video. A big part of your success as an older athlete is learning to let the position work for you. Take your time. He's not going anywhere. But I can't let him suck my elbow in. That's no good. So we always straighten the arm out, like so. If I see him trying to swim his arm under, I'm not afraid to put my head and elbow down temporarily. Okay, but I've got to learn to walk everything up. How we do this is by straightening the arm and moving the head. I take a little bit of real estate. If he brings me back down, that's fine. We'll just keep going again. We straighten out the arm, move the head, take a little bit of real estate. Like a ratchet, we only go forward, never going backwards. Until we reach a certain critical threshold. That threshold will be different depending on your opponent's flexibility. But at some point, you're going to be able to flick and get it up to your shoulder. The second we feel it's up on the shoulder, we grab the head. He goes to move his arm around. It's really difficult. Now, we just lift, and we're in the perfect position to expose our elbow. Now we shrug. We bring everything forward and shrug his arm off our head. Once that arm comes off the head, we take our chin and we put it right over our training partner's elbow. Now we thumb post and we put our head down. We lock up our hands. We settle down. We pommel our foot over to the side. Our knee comes down as a blocker, and now we've got that perfect position that we talked about earlier. We pump the arm all the way around the head. We bring our elbow out wide. We turn the corner, and we strangle. Okay? So that's how we set up the Katagatame from the mounted position using the ratchet. Now, we just saw how to set up the Katagatame using the ratchet method against the mounted position. Now let's look at it from side position. Okay. We are in side control this time. Okay? How are we going to set up the Katagatame from here? Well, if your opponent is a numbskull and just starts pushing on your face and he's naive and you could conceivably push the arm by and jump to the other side and finish him. These things could happen at beginner level, sure. But I'm not interested in you beating people that don't know what they're doing. I want you to be able to beat people that do know what they're doing. So our assumption will be that your opponent is giving strong resistance and he's not giving you any easy entries. He's not naive and just pushing it away. We can just send the arm by in your Katagatame, okay? This guy's experienced and you have to work for every little thing that you get, okay? So we're going to start off with our opponent in a good defensive position, okay? He's not giving you any freebies here. So from here, we take our hand and we pommel it inside. We lock a 10-finger grip and we start levering his arm out and away. As a result, we can bring our head inside our training partner's forearm. That's going to enable us to finagle our arm and turn it into an underhook. From the underhook, we're going to lock up nice and tight. We're going to make this guy feel some pressure in here. As he brings his knees up defensively, we're going to angle our knee forward so it goes in front of his hip, And we're going to bring our knee across and put pressure on our training partner. We're going to take our second foot and just hook it inside our training partner's leg as a grapevine. As my knee comes in to touch the floor, we're going to release the pressure that we have. So we look like we're mounted. Our two knees are on the floor, but I'm not really mounted because my right foot hasn't gone into the mounted position yet. And then from here, we're going to grab our training partner's lat muscle. From this position, we're going to start walking the ratchet all the way up and lock it in place. As we come forward, now we're going to step up into good position, and we find ourselves right there, ready to go now, mounted with the arm trapped. From this position, you guys know the story. We take our chin and lock over. We put a thumb post on our training partner, and our head comes down nice and low. We make the necessary adjustments, getting our shoulder right over the esophagus, and we get our hands connected in together. From this position, with elbow out wide, we now dismount. We come out to the side, and we start walking our knee down towards the floor. Now, from here, we take our head going around the corner, and as a result, we get a very, very tight Katagatame strangle. So what's the game plan here? The game plan is to make use of a position similar to the mount, where you have a knee on either side of your opponent's body, but you're not truly mounted because your feet aren't hooked over. We go from the side position to this quasi-mounted position. We do the ratchet move from there. It's physically impossible for me to hit a ratchet from side control. His elbow will always be stronger. He can't do it. It's impossible. So what we have to do is first get to an underhook, and for that we use the 10-finger method. We take our hand all the way through, lock it up, and start putting pressure on our training partner's elbow. And as a result, we quickly pommel in and take an underhook. Now, from the underhook, his right knee is making it hard for me to get mounted. So I turn my hip forward, and as a result, I can always bring my knee in front of his thigh. Even when he brings his knee up to my butt, I'll always be able to get my knee in front of his knee. Now I start the action of pushing down his body, putting pressure on my training partner's legs. My second foot hooks in like so, and I usually use it as a grapevine. If you can't get a grapevine, then just back heel with it. Now, unlock your hands. Start that action of pushing on his legs and straightening out your arm or walking it all the way up as many times as it takes, that ratchet action, until you feel you can connect to your own elbow. Now from this position, as we start driving forward, we step down into the mounted position. As he tries to extract himself from here, it's very, very difficult. Now we use our chin to catch. We use our thumb to solidify, and we lock up like so. Our hands lock, head comes down, foot comes across, and we walk out and we block his hip with our knees. From here, I bring everything down. Shoulder comes down the body, elbow comes out wide, turn the corner, and we get a good strangle. Now, we're looking at the idea of Katagatame setups. We've seen the most important one from mounted position, and we saw how to continue that from side position. Now let's look at the idea of continuing it from half guard top position. From a situation where we've gotten into half guard. Okay, as we play in this position, first, if your opponent has a knee shield, that's going to screw everything up. So we can't allow that. So we stay over our opponent just like so. In the course of the action, we're going to see opportunities to take underhooks on an opponent. If we ever get to an underhook from half guard top, one of our big things is to go through and lock, just like so. We're going to use the top head and arm position, underhook, cross face, hands locked, to start going into passing pressure. We've seen this throughout this video. We come up into a good tripod position. We walk over our training partner's center line a little, and we get our shoelaces inside our training partner's knee so we can free the knee of the trapped leg. And then we get our knee inside our training partner's hip. From this position, an excellent way for us to work is to drive our knee down towards the floor, just like so. Now, your opponent will want to get that knee of yours back inside his legs and recover. That's always what they want to do. So, in order to make that more difficult, we are going to switch our hands out and lock our arm underneath our training partner's arm in the fashion that we've been looking at. As he tries to elbow escape, we're going to start the action of walking our training partner's arm up, exposing his armpit, and using the ratchet method to walk that arm up and steal a little more real estate, Every time taking that arm just a little bit further until we can walk that arm up to a degree where we can get it underneath our shoulder. Then we get a hold of our training partner's head. We expose our training partner's, our elbow to our other hand. And then from here, we start that action of slipping the arm on by. Once we get to a position like this, we just take our chin and place it right there over the top of the elbow. We take our thumb, lock, and bring our head down. We start that action of locking up. From this position, we cut our knee across our training partner and find ourselves in the perfect position to slip that knee in close. We take our elbow out wide, forming a good solid base. Our shoulder comes down to our training partner's esophagus. And then from this position, we start sprawling our body down, going around the shoulder into a strong finishing position. So once again, from a half guard start that doesn't really suggest anything in terms of Katagatame, we get an underhook. We take our second hand around the corner and we lock up. Just like we did for all of our various passes, we come up high on our training partner, get our shoelaces inside, and free the knee of the trapped leg. From our standard starting position, we're very stable in this high tripod. He tries to bridge and move us around. It's difficult for him to do so. He tries to elbow escape. It's tough. Now from here, we take our knee, we bring it down to the mat. Now, we start this action of walking our arm out wide and using that classic ratchet method to walk our body up. Remember guys, in this position, you're in something very close to the mounted position. Technically, you're not mounted because your right foot is still trapped. But as long as we can get our two knees to the ground, it doesn't really matter. As he tries to hold on tight with his left arm, we're just going to shoulder shrug and bring that arm across. Now, we get our chin right there in front of his tricep. We block and lock that arm in place. As our hands lock in this position, it becomes pretty easy for us to knee cut across our training partner's stomach. Now we're in the perfect position to block our training partner's hip. We take our elbows out wide, just like so. And then from this position, it's relatively easy for us to come around the corner and strangle for the finish. So this is an excellent way to enter into the Katagatame directly from half guard passing. Now, you've seen my students use Katagatame from top pins on many occasions. It's a very, very effective way of strangling tough, resistant opponents, and it's a move that takes almost no tactical risk. You don't really lose your top position. You're still on top of them, chest to chest. Even if the move should fail, you can always recover your pin. Now, here's a very valuable trick, which gets us around one of the most common reasons why Katagatames fail. You see lots of people make the following mistake. I'll say you down. Okay, a lot of times you'll see people get most of what they need correct, but then they screw up just at the last minute. Okay, if I have a classic Katagatame position, one of the most common reasons why it will fail is because people drive forwards with their shoulder. They think, oh, it's all about the shoulder pressure to create the strangle. So what they do is they go forwards. In this case, it's my right shoulder. If I drive my right shoulder towards Placido's left ear, what it does, it creates a neck crank. It's unpleasant, but it doesn't really strangle your opponent. Okay? Watch my right shoulder surging forward and over the chin. This is a disaster, and it will result in a neck crank, which is annoying for your opponent, but at top levels, tough guys are not going to tap to physical pain. They're only going to tap when they're going to go unconscious. So what we want to do is not drive forward and over with the shoulder. We want to drop the shoulder back and under the chin. What you're looking for specifically is to drop your shoulder directly on top of your training partner's esophagus. Okay? So when we lock up, if I ever get into a situation where I feel the move is not working, what I do is I drop my shoulder down towards the sternum and I bring everything back. I never come over the top driving forward. Okay? I take my shoulder and I bring it down the body. The motion is one where you take your own shoulder back towards your own neck. If my shoulder's going forward, that's when you fail with the move. So, from a situation where we start off like so, here's the most common reason why it fails. People come forward like this. Now, Placido, just lock your hands together, and it's very, very hard to strangle this guy now. What I want to do is focus on keeping my chin down here by the rear deltoid. The further my chin goes from the rear deltoid, the more I'm surging forward. Okay? So, when we lock up in here, my first thing is to push down the body this way. And that puts my shoulder right over his esophagus. Once we're in here, now we open up our elbow, and I just put my head down. And I go around the corner as low as possible. Never do I go around the corner as high as possible. People think, oh, this is a good idea because I'm getting the end of the lever. I'm pushing at the end of the lever on the elbow. Yeah, you are, but this is not about leverage. This is about closing off the carotid artery. So where I want my pressure is down here. And I want my right elbow rotating. And it's that which creates the strong strangle. Okay, so I open my elbow outwards and my right elbow comes back to myself and I just rotate low, never going over the top and creating a neck crank. Rather, staying low and dropping my right shoulder down the body rather than driving the right shoulder forwards. Okay, so look how my head comes low around the corner, and it's done. Switching the angle. The other big thing, watch my right elbow. My right elbow rotates back towards myself. If my right elbow is going forward, it's a disaster. What I want to do is take my right elbow back. Okay? So my head goes around the corner, and right elbow locks in place. Now when we add the sprawling method, we block with our head, elbow comes out wide, and it's done. Okay? You add these details, and you'll have a very tight strangulation that'll never degenerate into a neck crank. The most high percentage submission in all of no-gi jiu-jitsu, this is strangles from the back. I've covered this subject in great detail in the past, but today we're looking at it from a very particular angle. We're looking at it from the angle from someone who lacks flexibility and mobility and is perhaps a little older or their body's not quite in the best of shape and they still want to be effective strangling from the back, but the methods I've shown in the past are proving difficult. My athletes are well known for their ability, once they get behind people, to start locking up over in a training partner's arms, okay? And we often make use of body triangles.
Impressive. You were able to lock it up.
My legs are longer than I thought. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
They make use of body triangles to capture people's wrists, and then from this situation, they thread feet over their training partner's arms, and from this position, trap arms and go into work on training partners looking to strangle on both sides of the body. Okay, so this is a methodology which I've taught at length in the past, and it's the number one method of working from this position. But it does require a little bit of dexterity. You've got to be able to throw a leg in, you've got to be able to hold an arm against resistance, and it's best done initially out of situations where you can lock up an initial body triangle for control and win the hand fight. The body triangle means you can pretty much forget about the lower body and focus on winning the hand fight. I teach a lot of older athletes who are sometimes short and thick in the legs. Sometimes they're generously built around the stomach, and these things can be very difficult for them to do. It's hard for them to hold a body triangle. So they have to work with open feet, and then the opponent's twisting and turning. They're trying to get a leg over the top. They're not the most flexible guy in the world. They have to throw the leg 2 or 3 times, and the whole thing descends into chaos. Okay. Then you get a different kind of problem. Where sometimes I'll be teaching athletes who are a little thick through the stomach, and when someone gets on top of them in positions like this, bridge up on top of me, buddy. They're like, oh boy, I can't move much at all. And their thick waist means they don't have the dexterity to win hand fights from positions like this, and often it's worse for the person who's attacking than the person who's defending, and they can get stuck in positions like this without any good results. Okay, so when you really are compromised in terms of mobility, and perhaps you're not in the best shape, but you still want to be effective with strangles from the back, what are we to do? Okay, there's some alternative methods that don't require us to have a body like Gordon Ryan and be able to lock onto a good tight body triangle and win those hand fights every time. Yes, there are. There's good things you can do. I want to discuss some of those with you right now. First, before we begin, tactics. If you are someone who struggles with the rear mounted position, I am going to advocate that you attack the stranglehold before you attack the rear mounted position. Okay, normally we get the rear mounted position first, stabilize, pick up your points, control the guy's arms, and then strangle last. You can flip that around on its head. If you lack the ability, because of some kind of physical deficiency, to control the rear mounted position for long periods of time and be comfortable in attacking from the rear mounted position, I'm going to suggest that you get the stranglehold set first so that your opponent is already strangling before you get positional control. And then use a combination of strangle pressure and the limited time that they have now to defend themselves, combined with movement into a new position to actually finish people. Secondly, if you have short, thick legs and you feel like athletically there's no way you're going to be able to get body locks to work, I'm going to advocate a different kind of position, a hip lock position, sometimes called the high ball ride, okay, which enables people even with very short, thick legs to control this position very successfully. So with that in mind, let's have a look at some strategies to work in. Okay, Pascal, take a turtle position, buddy. This side. No.
All the way around?
Yeah. That took longer than I thought.
That was a lot of work. That was inefficient jujitsu.
From this situation. Here's what things would look like normally. Okay, normally we would break someone down from turtle position, then we would establish the beginnings of rear mounted position, and then from a situation like this, we would go in, control wrists, and then from here start trapping arms and finish off with a stranglehold. Okay, so that would be sort of the normal modus operandi that I have students work with. Now you feel it's hard to break this guy down to the mat, and even worse, you're something about your body means that the rear mounted position just always feels like a real challenge. Okay, you can't lock body triangles. Your legs are too short and thick. You're heavy through the midriff, and when someone leans on you, you feel tremendous compression on your diaphragm, and you're just not comfortable there. What are we going to do? Okay, in these situations, I'm going to have you start with your knee right there on top of your training partner's thigh, second hand in, so you can't get rolled off in this position. Okay, you can't get arm rolled. So you're in good position behind this fellow. Now we're going to come through and we're going to capture our training partner's hand and pull it in nice and tight. You'll notice that I have my two knees just sitting up, in this position here, a cowboy ride position, where my knee is over my training partner's thigh and my second knee is on the other side of the head. Why is this important? Well, if I just have my knees on the ground, Placido can trap my arm and roll me through and end up pinning me. And we're completely stuck in that position. Okay, so we don't want that happening. So what we want to do is start here in the cowboy ride, so that if Placido did go to arm roll me now, you would end up behind your training partner with hooks in. Okay, so you've taken away that option from him. Now, from the cowboy ride position, We're going to start by breaking our opponent down to the mat. I'm going to put my knee next to him here on the floor. I'm going to put my second hand out, and I'm going to let go of his wrist. I'm going to grab here a tight waist grip. We're going to move over to the side, and we're going to break Placido down to a hip, just like so. Okay? Once we get in here, he can't use this arm defensively. Why not? Because it's carrying his weight. This is his only defensive arm. So I shoot and grip. As he tries to get back up, make it hard. My elbow position makes it tough. I'm digging in with my elbow. Got to get up, Placido. So it's tough. And the whole time this happens, I get my arm over his neck. Sitting up, Placido. I have this arm trapped, and I have this one set. The only arm that can stop me is this arm. And that's why I'm always attacking him. When he grabs with the other arm, no good. Try to peel my hand off, Placido. You'll never do it. You'll never do it. Even if you grabbed it from here, I could still fight my way through. This is the one that's going to stop me. His left hand will stop my right hand. So what we do is we peel it and we keep weight on this one. So he has to carry his weight on this. So there's no defense. And we go right in and we get it. Okay? Remember, guys, what you want to do is to create situations where your opponent has only one defensive hand. Normally, Placido, you're behind me, buddy. If Placido wants to remove my defensive hands, sitting down, buddy. If Placido wants to remove my defensive hands, he does it with one hand and a leg. He captures my hand, captures it with a foot, and now I have no defensive hands, and then he can easily strangle me. Okay? So his whole goal is to take away my defensive hands. We normally do it with a leg, but that requires a fair degree of dexterity and flexibility and mobility. Placido's got good mobility, so it's easy for him to do this. Okay? But if you are mobility compromised, maybe you're injured, maybe you're just not flexible, maybe you've got short, thick legs, and these kinds of moves just don't work well for you, you've got to have other methods. And what I'm advocating for you here is a gravity-based method, where you force your opponent to base out on the floor. Now, if I take this arm off, I'm going to fall, so I can't do that. So I'm based out on this one. It means I've got one defensive hand. If someone takes this hand away, I've got no defensive hands. My neck's open. I'm in trouble. Okay, and I could be strangled. So what we do is this. We start off in a position where I can't be rolled. I can't be a fool and just let this guy trap me. And oh no, I get rolled over. It's like, it's all gone. Okay, so we've got to start in a good position here. So he can't just roll me over. Now, when we first start off, I'll often distract people by fighting for wrists. As he goes to play the wrist game and pulls them away, I break him down to an elbow. This arm has to stay there for a base of support. If Placido takes that arm off, I drop him into a pin. Now I'm getting mounted on this guy. So he can't do that. Okay? Now, from here, I threaten to strangle. He defends himself. I come through and I lock it. This arm is preoccupied with base. This arm is trapped. And he's got to get the fuck out of here. When he does so, the arm goes in as a strangle. Now, you guys can't see this, but on the other side, don't worry, I'll show it in a second. On the other side, I'm already getting my hook in. Now, let's imagine, guys, we're not the most flexible guy in the world. Maybe we're partaking of too many fine, extravagant dinners, and our stomach's getting a little thick these days. And rear mounted position is not our favorite position because we feel uncomfortable when people are on top of us. That's fine. From here, we're going to hit a different kind of rear mount, where we just peel this guy over. I just push off the floor and take him down to the mat. All I'm going to do is take my foot inside his, second foot up, I'm just going to cross my ankles. The high ball ride, okay, or the hip lock. I lock over his hip. This is how people with short, thick legs get similar control to a body triangle. When Placido goes to move around, it's tough. Not easy, man. It's almost as tough as moving inside a body triangle. Okay? The idea is we just cross our ankles. It's perfectly safe to cross your ankles in this position. There's no leg locks here or anything. Okay? When he goes to twist and turn, it's tough. Now, we take our hands out, we go in and we get our strangle. So once again, training partner's down. We're in a cowboy ride. We're playing the wrist game. We're trying to work this guy, and yeah, exactly. He's doing a good job moving away. So we, boom, break him down to a hip. Okay. He tries to get back up. It's not so easy from here. You're working on this guy. Now I come and I threaten a strangle, peel the hand off. As he goes to get back up, the first hook's already in. Now I put my 2 feet on the mat and I just push everything in this direction and bring him down to the floor. Now from here, I cross my ankles in the classic hip lock high ball ride. I squeeze my knees together. As Placido tries to peel out of here, tries to defend his neck, it's not so easy. Now we cover, hands go in, and it's done. Okay, just going to show you some details on the high ball ride. Okay, crossing your feet here can be very problematic, especially at beginner level. Okay, crossing your feet here is fine. Now, what we rotate this way. What we don't want to do is this. I don't want to lock below his hips. Placido can move across my body. You have no control now. The whole idea is to have your knee on top of his hip so that your training partner is between your knees. His hips are between my knees. If his hips are not between my knees, this is worthless. So, hips between my knees, held in place by the closed legs. My legs close, and we all know locked legs are twice as strong as unlocked legs. Okay? So we lock in just like so. Because I'm above the hip, when Placido goes to thrash and turn, it's quite difficult. Okay? And you've already set your strangle before you get here. So when he tries to peel that hand off, you can only use this hand. And guess which hand we're holding? Okay? Now when he goes to use the other hand,
You can't even reach.
it's no good. Then we cover our hands. So when he tries to reach back with either hand now to stop me, he won't better stop me from threading the hands through and finishing with a good strangulation. Okay? So, the theory behind this. The best way to strangle people is to be able to restrain their defensive arm. You're behind me, Placido? The best way for Placido to restrain me is to get a hold of my arms and use a combination of hands and legs so that I have no defensive hands left. And now there's nothing to defend my neck. Okay? So the best way to strangle people is to take away their hands. Because if Placido doesn't take away my hands, I can defend myself pretty damn well here. But if Placido takes away one and then takes away two, it's very hard for me to defend myself now. Very difficult. Okay? Now, if you don't have the dexterity to do that with your legs, or maybe you're a little thick around the waist, and when people get on top of you and ram out and say, oh my God, this is worse for me than it is for them, you need a different method. Okay? And the method we're looking at is the gravity method, where we start in a good, secure place. We start threatening our training partner at the wrist and distracting this guy until we can pull him down. Once we get to a position like this, one of his arms is preoccupied with base. If he's an idiot and takes it off the floor, well, he's done. I get mounted now. Okay, so he can't really do that. So one of his arms is distracted. I throw him a fake. So he said, oh, he's going to strangle me. All I wanted was his hand. Now he's got to try to get back up, but he's working against my tight waist, my elbow. Now my first hook is already in. Go back a step. As I get the hook in, I'm already putting the arm in. And I put it all the way over his back. Now I put my head over his head. I bring my legs up and over his. And then I just push to break him down to the mat. I could go here, nothing wrong with that. But we'd love to be able to really lock this guy down. Okay, this grip of the feet doesn't really do that so well. So instead, we lock up here. Why does he bring his knee up? Well, he doesn't want to get scored on with points. So what I do is I put one hook in. So now I make it look like I want to get hooks. Like the hook. I want this, it's much better. Now from this position, come through, we cover our hands. So when he tries to reach back and peel, it's really difficult. When my elbow comes forward, the hands come in, and it's done. Okay. Now, that's the core insight that I want you working with. But let's go further than this. Now let's look at the idea of you developing a skill where it's almost like practicing a punch or a kick or what have you. You're going to practice a strangle. You're going to come in. We're just going to work from a position just like so. We're going to gather up our training partner's arm, just like so. We're going to take our body into this position, and we're going to practice covering our training partner's hands in this position. I'm going to bring my head forward, and I'm going to throw my elbow around my training partner's neck. So we practice covering hands. There's no sign that I'm about to strangle this guy. This guy's thinking, oh shit, I got to defend the rear mount. I'm not even interested in the rear mount. I'm interested in the strangle. So from a position where my hands are behind him in here, we come over the top and cover his hands, and I just throw my hand in. So that I should be able to, as you peel the hand away from the person, I should be able to take my hand in to a strangle position in the blink of an eye. Okay? You should feel like, man, as we work in positions like this, boom, I should be able to get to this position. Wrist and strangle. This position we call the garrote. Okay? Like a garrote around someone's neck. You control one hand, the far hand, and your arm slips all the way around behind his neck. Now, I don't even have the rear mounted position, but Placido will tell you just this, one-handed, already makes things bad. Okay? It's like 90% of the strangle is already done. Okay? At any given moment, I should be able to go into a garrote. And I want you guys to develop the skill of being able to slip into a garrote at any given moment on an opponent and make his life hell down here in these positions. Okay? When poor Placido goes in to defend himself from here, it's hell. You just drag people down and those legs come in and bang, it's done. Okay? Whenever I'm coaching older and less athletic people who struggle with the rear mounted position, okay? Someone young and mobile like Placido, I teach my conventional program, of course. It's the one you see my students using in competition. But what about that 50-year-old fella who hasn't done anything athletic in 20 years, and he's come in, he's built heavy through the stomach, he's got short, thick legs. I can't teach him what Gordon Ryan does. It's going to be tough, okay? And what I teach is this. I teach the garrote. I teach them to go in with their arms, to understand that there's a far side and a near side. And from situations like this, you're always looking to take away that far arm. You're always looking to create distractions, to get your head in close. And then the garrote's in. And you're ready to go. Every time you get in, just release it. Just practice working until you can get to that position. Once you start getting confident, come forward aggressively and confidently with your head. Don't hang back here. You'll never get your garrote. Your arm will always be shallow. You got to learn to be aggressive with your head. So your head comes forward. And that's what makes it possible to get inside. We're breaking people down to the mat. Oh, the head's always forward over their body. And then from here, you start pulling people down. And lo and behold, people that were never getting strangles suddenly start getting strangles, okay? People that could never control the back are suddenly tapping people out left and right in the gym. This is a really good skill. If you're athletically compromised and you feel that the regular methods of attacking from the back aren't working for you. Okay, we're looking at a rear strangulation program that works for people for whom the conventional program of rear mount first and then work your way into strangle second doesn't work very well. And there's lots of people out there like that. They're usually people who are a little older, lacking in dexterity, lacking in mobility, perhaps a little thick through the waist, short, thick legs. These are people for whom the conventional programs that I teach for the rear mounted position into strangles really just don't work so well. In these cases, what I advocate is the use of strangle first and then rear mount position second. You literally reverse the order of things. So what I want you doing, if the rear mount position proves to be difficult for you to use in operations, start with the strangle. In particular, start with the strangle position we call the garrote, where you control the far side wrist and get the near side strangle hand with one arm, so that your whole hand goes behind his neck. difficult for your opponent to defend. If you can, use gravity as a means of doing so. It's the easiest way to do it. It's not the only way to do it. You can also get opportunistic methods where you just see an opening in the neck. Now, guys, let's understand something about strangulation. When you go to strangle someone, if their chin is ever any further away from their chest than the width of your wrist, it's ready to go. You can go in there. Now, in the course of a match, the chin is that far away from the chest all the time, even when you're behind people. No one keeps their chin on their chest the entire duration of the match. You could never win that way. You can't fight the whole match like this, not even when you're defensive. At some point, that chin's going to rise, and it doesn't have to rise very far. It only has to rise the width of your wrist, which is not asking a lot. And you can slice that hand in, get to your garrote. Now you control the wrist and the neck, and you play from there. Once you get the garrote, then you go for the position. So you reverse the order of things. You get the stranglehold first, you get the position second. So from situations where we're in behind a training partner, from here as we play the game of going in to control wrists. If I can't control this wrist, I'll switch the other side of the body so that I can start to come in and start to threaten. I see that chin is just far enough away that I can get in there. The key to this is that my head comes forward past the shoulders. If my head hangs back, you'll never get the arm in. You'll always look like you're a day late and $1 short. So I've got to play confidently with my head. Then from here, when I shoot it in, I just see an opportunity because his chin is far away from his chest. I just take my elbow and I put my whole hand over his back. Don't start here. If Placido feels this, what's he going to do? He's going to put his chin down. He's going to stop me. Okay? So I lead with my elbow. And the whole hand goes in. Now, you've got your garrote. Congratulations. But it's going to be hard just to strangle just right from here. Okay? Unlikely to happen. What you've got to start doing now is pushing this guy down. So I bring my head over his head. I've got to win the lower body battle now. I've won the upper body battle. I've gotten my garrote. Strong, resistant body position. Now I just start walking around his body and I just twist this guy over. That exposes his body to the hooks. If he stops me on one side by bringing the knee up to the chest, the other side, I can't get my hook here, well, I just bring the other one in and I go high ball right. If he stops me at the left hook, then I go over the top with the right hook. And then I just reverse his body in the other direction. Bring your knee up and I go high ball right. And you're always going to get there. You're always going to get to your finisher. You're going to be surprised how often you'll be able to finish just with the one-handed grip. As Placido goes to peel out of here, it's not so easy. You've seen my students at the highest levels finish the best people in the world with one-handed strangles. Okay? It'll work for you too. So, from situations where we start off behind a training partner and we're in here trying to play wrists, trying to go in, work with this guy, and we just see an opportunity, boom, and we're in. We've locked it up. Come forward with the head. Okay, plus he tries to defend his neck. He's so distracted by what's happening upstairs that he gets forgetful of what's going on downstairs. So we just walk and walk and walk, just put pressure on this fella until we can start getting hooks in. Now that we've got hooks in, he's still in the damn stranglehold. Okay, you've already gotten your score now, and now because the stranglehold is so close to set, it's going to be easy to go through for either a two-handed or one-handed strangle. So, my advice to you is get to that garrote and use the threat and the distraction of the garrote to win the lower body battle. So I start from here, peeling. I see an opportunity, bang! I win the upper body battle. I've gotten the garrote. It's a clear sign that we've won the upper body battle. I bring my head next to his head. As he makes a strong, resistant body, from here, we just come around the corner and flip him over. Now we win the lower body battle. From this position, as he goes in to defend himself, it's so hard once you set everything in behind him. And then we just come on through and finish in the usual fashion. Okay? So you guys are going to find that once you get to the garrote, it's awfully difficult for an opponent to go on losing the upper body battle to defend the lower body battle. Once they lose the upper body and the strangle is set, they cannot you just cannot ignore an arm tight around your neck and you passing out. You have to address it. And as they try desperately to address this battle, they lose this battle. The hooks go in easily. Okay? So my advice to you is, if the conventional order of operations, which is to first secure the rear mount, then trap your opponent's arms, and then strangle them, proves to be difficult for you because of some kind of physical compromises that you have, use this method. Win the strangle battle first. Get to the garrote. Threaten the strangle first, and then win the lower body battle, the positional battle, second. Play the positional battle and the strangle battle against each other at the same time, and you will suddenly find your opponents have an awfully hard time defending themselves. Understand that the garrote, by its very nature, gives them at most only one defensive hand, and it's the wrong hand. Okay, that's the important on your knees, underneath. That's the important insight about the garrote. If I'm on Placido's right-hand side, his best chance to stop my strangle is his left hand. So I kill the most important hand. That means that if he tries to stop me with this hand, he can put up a defensive frame, he can do all these things, just cover his damn hands. And you're going to suddenly find, whoa, what's in? The only way he can stop me is if I clutch and I keep my hand in front of his shoulder. Then he can peel it down. But even that's not the end of the world. You can always put it down on the floor again and go right back in. Okay, it's an incredibly effective way to attack people once you're in positions like this. And you just play this game the whole time. You make it look like you're interested in wrists, but really you're not. And then suddenly it's there. Once it's there, I say, don't let me get the hooks out.
Yeah.
It's just so damn difficult to stop the guy once he's got an arm around your neck, okay? There's a mountain of proof showing my students successfully strangling the best people in the world with one hand. It's a you felt it, man.
Yeah.
So it's not pleasant when a guy's arm truly goes around the neck and he knows what he's doing, okay? And the barrel's still there for the lower body. But you're so distracted by the upper body that you can't even focus on that. You can't even defend it. And then suddenly the hooks are in and the strangle's on and you've got 2 seconds left to do something. It's like, oh, it's a nightmare. So I'm going to push this game for you if you're an older or physically compromised athlete for whom the regular methods of rear strangles just don't seem to work very well. This is a great method for you to use. I've had students well into their 50s, even their early 60s, who use this with great effect in the gym, okay? Because remember, guys, when you get older and you're physically compromised, the first thing to go is your legs. And the last thing to go is your hands. I've had students who were in their 60s who still had 2 fucking hammers for hands. And if they could fight wrists, they could beat people. They lost their legs, but they didn't lose their hands. And the beauty of this position is the first battles are all here at the hands. Okay, it doesn't take a lot. And then from these kinds of situations, it's on. Strong body. Now from here, he goes into the defend. Doesn't want to get hooks in. And it's just so tough. Okay? So understand this, fellas. This is a great route. If the traditional methods of back strangulation aren't working for you, give it a shot.